there are a lot of demands on fathers today compared to what my father and my grandfather went through. I think previously we had the fathers would go to work. Usually that was the expectation, they'd earn the money, and it would be the mum that would stay at home and look after and be there to bring up the children. Nowadays, that's not the case in most Western societies. I think the fathers are expected to be more present in the upbringing of their children, and they want to be as well. But the issue there is the demand on the time, and it's not just for fathers. Mothers have exactly the same concern and challenge as well. I really want to be present for my 3 children, that I have 3 young children, and be there for them and do the homework, take them to school, pick them up from school. But it's very hard to have a long, successful career. My partner also works a full-time job as well, and there's a lot balancing on our shoulders. But on the flip side of that, there are technologies nowadays that makes it a bit more available that my father and grandfather never had access to. So the most poignant one being the ability to work from home. So the internet being available now. See, my grandfather never had the internet. The use of laptops in the office space means that I can actually work from home a few days a week, which means I'm available to be there for my children to do the school runs, to do homework with them. When my sister and I were growing up, we very rarely saw my father in the week. He'd only be there for the weekends. My mum would pick me up from school. We'd be at home for about 5-6 hours after school until Dad would walk home, be very tired, have his dinner, go to bed. So it's really quite nice now to be there for the children, but it puts quite a lot of challenge and strain on the family unit.
It's definitely different. I think that some of the challenges that dads today face are different, but also the understanding that we have about what young people might be going through is different as well. But at the same time, you're not trying to raise a perfect child, you're trying to raise a perfect adult. Of course, you can't raise a perfect anything, but that's your goal, is the adult at the end of it. And so getting that balance right is very difficult. But I just don't think my dad had to think about that. It was just, this is what we're doing. Children were part of the family and you do things together. But it wasn't like, nowadays it seems to be a lot more like, what do the children want to do? And you spend all of your time working out what makes them happy. And they also have so much more. I used to read a lot, and my son doesn't want to read particularly. He wants to play on the iPad. I didn't have an iPad. He wants to watch TV. I had TV channels, show my age, but I had TV channels that showed kids TV sporadically at certain points in the day, whereas now it's always on and always very addictive for them. So I guess it's different challenges, but different awareness.
Context for being a dad today versus other generations in my family is I am the son of first-generation immigrants from Nigeria to the UK. So there's a lot of heritage, there's a lot of different behaviors that just may not exist in Western cultures that did exist in Nigerian cultures, such as an authoritarian relationship being the standard and not necessarily being emotionally available. I think my parents, I'm very lucky that my dad tried to do a healthy mix of both. Got it wrong at times, but I'm very aware of those differences also playing a role into how I've shaped my fatherhood too. So I think it's really different being a dad today because it's much more open and available, especially for my generation, to speak about mental health and to not be the stern authoritarian, I've got it right, I am not weak or vulnerable. I think it's actually seen as strength now to just say, actually, I need help too. I think that's a big difference. And I think also we live in a society and a system that a lot of people are finding it harder, the cost of living crisis. A lot of people are therefore seeing that as an impact on how can they provide for their family too. But we have, at least in my circles, we have a definite viewpoint of it's not just all on us to get it right. And if you can't provide, or if you aren't making the salary that you are expecting, that's all down to your failure as a dad. I think there's a lot more understanding of the system that we live in as well and how that impacts how we show up for our family too.